Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast weekly show. No emergency news, no more Remco Evenepoel level transfers, but we do have a lot of transfers to get through. We have two race recaps, Tour de Pologne and Burgos, where we had pretty interesting racing, I think, as well as the post-Tour de France Femmes drama is still kicking along, and some race previews. Hamburg coming up this weekend, Tour de Romandie women, Czech Tour on at the moment. And then Denmark is we're halfway through that race in the, it's been in Denmark. But they also did one in an island, which was pretty nice. That island they did the first stage on, I like. This episode is brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling. And a word on them soon. Benji has big news for us about his office, though, that he'd like to share with everybody.
Mate, I've got air conditioning installed. And I will never be warm again. So I'm happy about that. And I didn't know this, Patrick. Turns out air conditioning, you can cool a room down, but it can also warm up a room in winter. So my house doesn't have heating, so my air conditioning becomes my heating. How cool is that?
Like Lee Kuan Yew said about the change for Singapore, we're going to see a new Benji in summer now with the air conditioning changing his life, hopefully.
Efficiency of the charts, Patrick. But
exactly.
A lot of stuff off the charts this week because we had some racing in the last 2 weeks of cycling. And I think the first race we want to discuss is, we started it already, I think, last week in the weekly show, but the Tour de Pologne was the World Tour race of the last 2 weeks. And it started off with an Olaf Kooi stage win. Brennan's lead out wasn't perfect, I would say. Got a yellow card in the process. La Paire won stage 2, which was a punchy finish. And I did note that there was one rider very strong on that day that wasn't necessarily the dedicated leader for the team. And we saw Kwiatkowski leading out Sheffield in the final of stage 2. And Sheffield capitulated. But there's one Ineos rider that didn't, who sprinted to third place on that stage, which is the Monegasque rider Victor Langelotti. We'll get back to him later in our recaps here. Ben Turner won stage 3. We had the whole neutralization situation. We discussed that last time on the podcast. He was dropped before neutralization, came back afterwards, and ended up winning the sprint. Paul Manier won the sprint on stage 4. Matthew Brennan on stage 5, very impressively from Narnia, all the way from the back of the group, flew past everyone, takes the victory. Stage 6, Patrick, Victor Langelotti. How likely did you see the victory coming with about 300 meters to go of Langelotti? I don't want to have any comment on me saying the word Patrick ever again.
The Langelotti, I actually did see it coming because the camera, normally this season, it's been like, it will pan on one side of the road and then the action is happening on the other side of the road. And I was like, oh, well, he's moving there. And Langelotti is a really, really good pure puncher. If you watch Tour of Norway, he didn't throw 2 wins, but he came with a lot of speed. The Brennan uphill win, Langelotti's who let it out. And if he was more patient with Brennan was more patient and smarter in that finish. Langelotti let it out. And then the other one, he was too deep. And his positioning's not perfect, but they put him in Dunkirk. And when I saw him in Dunkirk, I was like, why have you put some slender FIFA-addicted Monegasque 63-kilo rider in 6 days of Dunkirk? And he was really good. He was really good in Dunkirk and in the uphill finish. So as like a pure puncher, I thought his TT in the end was above expectations. So Langelotti is one of the pickups of the season. Not a, he's not a superstar. He's probably not going to win Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but World Tour race wins do not grow on trees, and neither do top 5 in GC and World Tour races. And he's not going to be on $1 million. So this is the sort of signing they weren't making at all in the 2022 to 2024 period, and they've been rewarded for it.
I think so as well, and you pointed at the most important factor there for the team as well. This is not a 1 million 7-figure investment for the team, Victor Langelotti, at the start of this year. This is a rider on a salary that is not gigantic here. So as a consequence, getting a World Tour victory in return, getting a competitive World Tour rider in return, who can also help others as well, that is of value for a team like Ineos even, who, yes, it's a high budget team, and quite a few people might have not heard of Langelotti before this transfer was announced, but he certainly delivered, I would say, compared to his salary. Then we go to stage 7, a time trial. Brandon McNulty was pretty strong on stage 6, the stage that Langlotti won, but he was overtaken by that man in the final stretch. He does win stage 7, the ITT, and you said it, Victor's TT was solid, maybe above expectations, but not good enough to protect the leader's jersey on stage 7. So Brandon McNulty ends up winning the Tour de Pologne for UAE. And question, Patrick, how many stage races this year in World Tour were won by a team outside of UAE and Visma?
Catalunya, Roglic, he beat Ayuso.
Correct.
Paris, Jorgensen.
Well, outside of Visma and UAE, I said.
Oh.
Because otherwise the Giro counts as well for Yates. I'm saying outside of those two teams, I think it's only Roglic. Am I forgetting any?
Vasco Almeida, Romandie, Almeida.
Ayuso Tirreno.
Ayuso Tirreno, Swiss Almeida.
Yeah.
Any others exist? TDU Narvaez. So.
It's all UAE and Visma. The one weekend and Grand Tours this year so far, except Roglic. So curious to see. Tour de Pologne is added to that. Then for the rest of the year, we've got La Vuelta.
They can't win. Wellens is going to win fucking Benelux.
And Guangxi?
Nah.
Someone needs to stop these two super teams. Come on. Even though the majority of them is UAE.
Yeah.
So.
Who can win Guangxi?
I don't know who's going to ride Guangxi. Apparently not Remco Evenepoel.
Why not?
Apparently he's not being punished for his transfer.
They're not as vindictive as me at Soudal Quickstep.
Paul Sixaz is riding it according to his current schedule on PCS.
Yeah. Can Pauline Ferrand-Prévot win Guangxi against the men? She's on Visma.
Doesn't help, does it? The situation.
Langolotti is our savior, Benji. It's Nongla. It's a 12-minute watts per kilo test, and then it's 5 sprint stages where you can't lose time even if you can't ride a bike. Victor Langolotti, you are our savior. You are our hero. I thought I will make a note of this because I think it's getting worse, and something has to be done, and this can be a discussion point from this race. By the way, I really liked Poland this year. I thought the route was really good. The neutralization was a bit of a stuff up, but I actually really liked the route. It turns out having uphill sprints is safer, just generally speaking. The motorbike drafting and manipulation of races is getting worse. It is unbelievable. If you go and watch the last 2Ks of Malase's TT, he is literally on the back of a police motorbike. And it makes a huge difference. And we're talking seconds. He beat Sobrero by a second or two. This can be the difference. I mean, and let alone, and then in road races, it's worse. I mean, in Denmark, I know it's a narrow course. I know. But in Copenhagen on the city course, it was horrendous. And I know it's a narrow course, but it is, you literally will be watching, and in Poland, Kielich is doing it.
Yep.
Kielich comes to a crest before a short descent, and he's like, if I do 5 hard pedal strokes, get to the moto, he got in the brake twice by sprinting to the back of the moto before a descent, and then it literally just dragged him 15 seconds away from the peloton. He got in the brake twice that way.
And it's not just in races like Poland, we saw it in Grand Tours this year as well, and it's also the last thing you mentioned there. It's not just motorbike is too close to a group, so that group gets benefit over the other group. It's also, if we see a rider attacking in the draft of a motorbike, gives such a massive advantage for that attack relative to a normal attack without a motorbike, that it's so much easier to split that group or to get away, like you mentioned with Kielich. So it has massive influence in this sport. In the sense, I can sometimes get it that they're having trouble getting behind the riders in time.
They can't get away quick enough.
Yeah, or can't get behind the riders in time before the top of the climb, whatever, in some situation. But I would say that, my head just disappeared, so I'll let you finish off the point.
Yeah, I agree. A motorbike gets surprised because Kielich sprints to his back wheel before a twisty descent and he can't get out of the way quick enough. He doesn't want to cause a crash by stopping to let him go ahead and then the peloton's there. I can understand it. But there has to be a rule. There has to be a rule in more of a status quo situation in the race. There can never be a motorbike behind the breakaway and in front of the peloton. The moto position, even if it's going to be too close for how we'd like it, and 10 meters is still close, making a big difference, it has to be the same position in the various groups. And whether that's in front or behind, it doesn't matter. But it has to be in, because when you see Tour de l'Ain, the descent off the Colombier for Tour de l'Ain, I was laughing. I was laughing because Prudhomme had the motorbike behind him, Otterbrooks had the motor in front, and I was laughing. I was like, he's gonna, Prudhomme's fucked.
And then quite often you get the response of, okay, the race was decided anyway, stuff like that, but that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to the situation because it also happens in moments where the race was not decided yet. So it is a massive problem. Something needs to happen about it. How does it happen? How can it be solved? I think better more communication with motorbikes, etc. Maybe better education of people riding motorbikes. But can we expect that? Because I also assume that in multiple situations, it's perhaps volunteers participating in such roles, no? Police motorbikes, probably not.
Or we're talking a TV motorbike here.
Yeah, true.
Most of the time. And I believe in do the easy thing that's 20% of the effort for 80% of the reward. And yeah, when someone attacks, they get a bit too close for 5 seconds, then the motor goes away. It can happen on a climb. It can happen. But I think the easiest fix is you have a standard position that must be consistent between the groups. So no group gets an unfair advantage. Because then when you go into a rolly technical section, like in Poland, well, both groups get a bit too much draft. Okay, at least it's fair. So I think that has to be the solution. But it's also, the riders know. I mean, they're racing, like, so Pogačar picks, so you know how he got blocked by the moto in Juplin?
Yeah.
It's a bit of risk-reward because like on Alpe d'Huez in 22, Pogačar picks the part of the climb where when he jumps from behind Vingegaard, the crowd is quite tight and he can like get on the back of the motor, which can't accelerate past 25, 30 kph, and it makes a big difference. Everyone should be doing it. It's smart. So the riders are even racing with the motos in mind. Okay, that was my little rant done, but
fair rant.
Not to point at any particular race. It can happen. It happens in every race.
Yeah.
And Jonathan
but in a time
Vaughters,
trial, there's no excuse.
Time trial is unacceptable. Yeah.
Talking about time trials that did not exist in Vuelta a Burgos.
They didn't have one.
Starting off with stage 1, we spoke about it before in the weekly show last week, but Roger Adria won that stage. Del Toro crashed in the last kilometer, basically, in a one-up sprint against Ciccone with the rest of the riders around it, so not exactly a one-up sprint. But Del Toro crashed. In doing so, his hand swiped across the road, taking out the front wheel of Ciccone. Ciccone crashes. Del Toro loses a couple of seconds that day. Ciccone loses more than a minute that day. So Ciccone is basically out of GC on paper. Stage 2 is won by Matteo Moschetti, who this year has 5 victories on his name, the same amount of victories as Pidcock. So man is delivering. Sure, he's also not going to be on 150k, but he's definitely not on the millions that Pidcock is on. So that man is delivering. He also doesn't necessarily have the one-day World Tour, I would say, consistency of Pidcock. But then again, Pidcock does not necessarily have that World Tour one-day consistency either. He was good at Strade Bianche, though. Stage 3 was really impressive by, I think, 20-year-old Leo Biziot from Decathlon AG2R. We often speak about these French riders like Paul Sixas, etc. Leo Biziot is also a rider that in the shadows of Paul Sixas can really grow within that Decathlon team and will be a really solid talent in the future. And I think I mentioned Adrien Boissy on the Red Bull Rookies as well last time. These are all French youngsters that will undoubtedly... Yeah. Aubin? Is that his first name?
Sparfel already won a pro race. He's on their Devo team.
He was second behind Matteo Milan in a sprint somewhere.
Yeah, and he's like part of my community, so he's like really, he's really fast and punchy, and yeah, he won Fenestra. Yeah, and he got a nasty kick on him.
Yeah, I heard it there, Patrick. You were describing your community as fast and punchy, but didn't mention the height issue.
Yeah, but
hey, the height advantage.
to be punchy, you got to be small.
Exactly. Now, Bizio won that in a late attack from a 5-man, I would say, GC group, so super strong ride by the man. Damiano Kuruza won stage 4 from a solo breakaway victory, not a full solo breakaway, but rode away from the breakaway that day. And the final stage was the resulting one in GC, I would say, where we had the 1v1, the expected 1v1 on Lagunas de Naya, one of the most epic Vuelta a Burgos climbs that we've seen, although there haven't been that many different climbs in that race in the last 10 years, I would say. Ciccone...
Pico Blanco, Lagunas de Naya.
Yeah. Hey, it's the... I would say...
It's a good... I like it.
Lagunas de Naya is more epic than Pico Blanco is my take.
Yeah.
Because of the gradual exponential rise to the top.
Yeah, you sometimes have better racing on Pigon Blanco stage. Remember,
yeah,
there was who also won a stage in Burgos before? Was it Tranchant from the breakaway?
Bastien Tranchant, yeah.
With Govacar. And I swear, what was the one? Sivakov.
As a stagiaire.
Yeah, as a stagiaire.
Sivakov won after a descent finish after Pigon Blanco, I think. Am I correct?
And he gifted Tranchant.
What? Did he?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So Tranchant won 2 stages at Burgos. Or am I...
No. There was
That's
someone
the same
else.
day.
There was someone else in the break. I swear. Some other, like Decathlon NPC.
Decathlon
Oh, yeah.
NPC.
Valentin Retayeur. I mixed them up.
I would say close enough, but really no.
Govacar won.
Okay. Stage 5. Ciccone drops Del Toro once again. So just like San Sebastian, a bit of a different situation because Jan Christen is not present to ruin things for UAE. But they still lose the race. Del Toro is dropped by Ciccone, who is clearly better in the last few weeks than Del Toro. So Ciccone takes home that stage, but can't get back the minute that was lost in stage 1 when he was crashed by the hand of Del Toro, which is kind of a funny anecdote to this race.
Very funny.
So the GC is won by Del Toro due to that crash on stage 1. So that is the round of Burgos. We also go through the first couple of stages of Denmark as well? Or do we wait until next week, Patrick?
I think we'll wait until next week. We got a TT today and a couple more punchy stages. We'll wait until next week before we do one last one before the Vuelta. But if you want to reach your goals with Cycling Smartest training app, maybe your friend's just crashed you out. Maybe your friend is like Isaac Del Toro and he or she has just crashed you out. You need to recover. You need a recovery plan. That's where Join Cycling can come in. Not every cyclist is chasing a race or counting watts. Some of us, me in particular, just trying to stay healthy, just trying to stay fit and have fun whilst doing it. Cycling's also more... I mean, that quote is so wrong. It gets repeated. It never gets easier. You just go faster. Literally not true. Literally not true.
Especially like for
you can just go
cyclists,
slower and it's easier.
That is true. You can go slower and it's easier. The difference is, I'm a beginner cyclist still. I've lost 20 kilos, but I can imagine 20 kilos ago, it was a lot harder to get up a bridge even. So, and that was at a slow tempo. So that quote is a lie. I'm sorry.
It's a lie because now I can go the speed I want up Colorino and it's more fun because it's easier. Because
for me, it's still torture.
Yeah, it's still exactly. So that was the worst quote ever. I mean, it gets repeated a lot. I mean, if people just stop pushing so hard.
Yeah,
anyway.
But with a good Joint Cycling training plan, it will get easier over time.
It will because you're not pushing hard every time. I mean, the mentality, especially when I first started cycling, I just go out and just literally just ride as hard as I could for an hour and a half every time. Which, I mean, when you're starting, whatever, but that doesn't actually make you get fitter faster. Join takes the guesswork out of training. No complicated plans. It's structured training without the pressure. You can stay consistent. No crazy interval workouts every day where you're trying to do a mathematical simultaneous equation to figure out what watts you need to do for 15 seconds before 3 seconds off or whatever. It's about enjoying the ride, building fitness over the long term. And it's helped me and Benji get fitter, feel stronger, and kept it fun. Your pace, your terms. You can get started using our link in the show notes through the link down below. Annual plan is really, really cost effective. It's less than 10 euros or USD a month, which to have a pocket coach like that that's adapting to your every whim or availability, I think is incredible value personally.
Mate, less than a Labubu.
I actually don't know what a Labubu costs. I mean, let me guess. You tell me how far off I am.
I have no clue.
Oh, you know, 120
for one.
120 euros.
You're gonna have to get a very special Labubu then, I think.
How much is a Labubu? Yeah, it can go from 22 to 960.
From 22, yeah. The average one is not going to be 120, I think.
Yeah, on StockX, apparently, according to this, by the way, the Google AI overview, fuck that. I mean,
it's wrong most of the time.
I've already done my AI rant. I did it at the start of the year, but stop.
Yeah.
Stop. I just want to search something. Just give me the web page, you fuck. I don't think Google is going to listen to me, but anyway, I just had to say it. Going on to some news, Benji. Right to the transfers in a second. This is a story that's kept kicking on. I think we should begin with where it started. So at the end of the Tour de France, I think Lars Bohm was maybe asked after the final stage that what could Demi have done differently? What could you do for next year? And then he just brought up the weight. He kind of said, I don't know.
The body shape.
He just said that, but without really saying too much one way or the other. That question was then taken to Demi, as I understand it, for her press conference.
I think a shared press conference between Demi Vollering and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot after the race, together with maybe another rider. But those two riders were definitely there. And one of the people in the audience, one of the journalists, asked her the question, which basically came down to, I don't know the exact quote, but it basically came down to, are you going to lose weight to try and beat Pauline Ferrand-Prévot next year? And I'm sorry, but my first reaction to that whole situation is, Lars Bohm bringing that up is stupid. That is just stupid. Because you're going to put Demi Vollering in a position where she needs to respond to a question like that. And Demi Vollering responds to that along the lines of, I'm happy with my body, stuff like that. Like a quote like that. I want to be an image for young people in the sport. I'm regurgitating it in my own words here, by the way. And she mentions that I want to prove that I can do it with my body as well, stuff like that, with my weight, stuff like that. But do we bring it already towards the next quotes that were given, or do we have a comment on that specifically? Because I think that's a fair answer, actually, from Demi Vollering.
Yeah, Vollering, I mean, she can say it like that. I don't think what Vollering said is too controversial. I'm trying to find her LinkedIn post, but she posts so much that it's going to have to take a while. Like every 2 days.
You're the LinkedIn person now, man.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So she got asked about it, and then she did an Instagram post about it, and then she posted on LinkedIn a week ago about it. So, yes, you can say Lars Bohm threw her under the bus, but Demi also, of her own volition, spoke about it. I don't think what she said is too controversial, and it's her perspective on sport. It's also maybe not correct. Like, it's her personal perspective. Hers is about it's far more than a number on a scale. It's about knowing your body, etc.
Sure.
For some other people, sport is just about winning.
Also, it's in two areas for me. For me, this whole narrative was an important message at a certain point, and that important message is eating disorders exist in the sport of cycling. We need to be careful with eating disorders. We need to be careful with relative energy deficiency syndrome. I didn't pronounce that correctly, but you know what I mean. Relative energy deficiency syndrome. Those aspects we need to be serious about. We need to acknowledge that those are issues in the sport, and that for female cyclists, especially more than men's cyclists, it can have influence on periods disappearing, because there's riders in the peloton that still have issues with the fact that they don't have their period as a consequence of eating disorders, and maybe not eating disorders, but being so strict when it comes to their nutrition, etc. So that's an issue. For me, when the whole discussion fell apart and became less interesting to me and more of an annoying ongoing debacle, is when it becomes personally about fully in Ferrand Prévot, personally about Demi Vollering, personally about specific riders. Because then, I'm sorry, but it's missing the point, and it's actually hurting the initial point, because we're starting to just chat about riders' body shapes for 3 months.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse, and it's a real shame it's happening. That the Tour de France Femmes happened, pretty good race, saw some good performances. That the enduring topic a week or so later is about people policing how skinny or the body shape of women, and like, I actually can't believe it's still going. There's still articles about it today. I do think the timing of the quotes, the ongoing quotes from Vollering and Royce Royce's is literally pointed, but it's a bit like, to me, they're suggesting Ferrand Prévot.
What is the Royce one?
Oh, yeah. So Royce then gave an interview in the Swiss press, maybe, where she said that Ferrand Prévot's weight loss for the Tour puts pressure on all of us. She set a new standard. She also said she secretly hoped she wouldn't win. And then Royce said, is it perhaps not so harmful if the deficiency is not a permanent condition? To what extent is it optimization? When does it become pathological? She then basically repeats like some schoolyard whispers and gossip, about Ferrand Prévot. And yeah, she said, we secretly hope that she wouldn't win. And I always put my health first, yada, yada, yada. I mean, Royce, she literally started the Tour de France so sick that she was getting dropped in neutral. So let's not pretend like she always puts her health first for performance.
That is true.
To me, I just disagree with it. Like, Ferrand Prévot did her best ever performance on the Madeleine. Demi Vollering did not do her best ever performance on the Madeleine. And if Demi Vollering did her Tourmalet performance with Demi Vollering's body, she would have been with Ferrand Prévot, more or less. And so why aren't we criticizing, like in the men's race, we don't do this. We don't say, oh, look at Vingegaard. I mean, Vingegaard won the Tour, but it's so bad because and I know it's different between the genders, but the same policing of their bodies is not happening. It's not happening like that straight after the Tour de France. Neither with Chris Froome. It's like Chris Froome when he won the Tour.
That is why this whole discussion became useless to me, or invaluable, or ineffective, or not productive, when it became about specific riders instead of the overall message. And I think the timing is partially the reason for that. And I think that timing originates at Lars Boom at the Tour de France Femmes.
Yeah.
But also there were certain points where people could have just have waited a few weeks to bring this up, etc. But then again, maybe the message doesn't get across as much. So I don't know. I in the last 3 days, I've been avoiding these discussions. I don't really feel like reading it. My mother-in-law is an expert in eating disorders, in relative energy deficiency in sports. So I've heard anonymous stories of athletes that struggle with, etc. I know that problem is real. I know it's a problem in the sport still, in the women's cycling sport, in men's cycling as well. But when it becomes about individual cyclists, I don't lose interest in like a negligent way, but in a it's not productive anymore, this discussion way, you know?
And if a rider was collapsing after 2 stages because they look so frail and sick, you can maybe understand a bit more. But when the argument is, no, she performed too well and beat our ass across 9 days without having a bad day, and it's unfair because she was so skinny, then you lose me. Because like the athlete herself is saying it's not permanent. The athlete herself is saying I'm a super professional. She's an experienced professional. And like we always do, Benji, what do we try to treat the two sports the same. We should be discussing, why didn't Demi do her best ever numbers the last 2 tours? Because she crashed twice. And how should that be prevented in the future? We should be criticizing and analyzing Ferrand Prévot for she completely fucked up the start of stage 9 and the descent, and how in the future other teams could use that with Ferrand Prévot having a mistake in the start of that stage. We should analyze the satellite rider Music not being called back. I would rather be having these are the discussions I think we should be having, not policing people's bodies.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I do think discussing the overall topic outside of the scope of the Tour de France Femmes is important. That needs to be more researched, more expressed, more campaigned, but not in this way, not in a way that takes down individuals instead of trying to build them up. That's how I see that. The one bit of criticism that I could perhaps see for Femenim Prévost is a personal one, is, and I have the same one for Remco Evenepoel actually, so I point at two people here, is I have no issue with an athlete like that going to perhaps the limit to be at her absolute best in a race, stuff like that. But I don't necessarily like it if you then post like a body fat caliper on your Instagram, stuff like that, which both Remco and Pauline Femenim Prévost did. That's the one thing myself I have a bit of a gripe with, but that's personal, you know? Because that does maybe promote it a little bit more than it should be.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that and know that other people are looking at it and are impressionable. But yeah, anyway.
I think we brought our point across.
Yeah, we'll keep discussing tactics and maybe performance improvements. And
the last 10 minutes of every podcast will now be dedicated to bodyweight discussions.
Yeah, maybe Patrick, for us, we can do it.
I think you're too skinny. I think it's unfair.
I was thinking this actually.
Yeah?
Do you think as I've lost weight?
Yeah? You've lost brain cells?
Yeah.
Or is that not the discussion?
Like if I was going to be like in Moneyball, Jonah Hill, like it would have been, it's better. Like I'm losing my touch if I get skinny.
You got to understand, Patrick, if you have no brain cells to begin with, you can't lose any.
Exactly. I was always like, Denmark sprint yesterday, fast sprint, flat sprint. Who's going to win? The heaviest guy there. Simple.
Fair.
And that's also, to round off the point, I know we're doing last point. When a race organizer puts a 70-minute 9% climb that's going to decide GC, that creates incentives for the riders as well, that they are going to respond to as performance athletes. And if you have a classics course and a cobble stage and a 6% 8K finish, you create different incentives. So we should also be cognizant of that. That changes who can win race. If you have a Giro that has no Finestra and soft mountaintop finishes with TTs, Derek G will podium, not Simon Yates. When you have Finestra, small man go fast. Like it's he fucking did. He went really fast. And then big man struggle. So that's life. That's life at its most simplistic. Okay, moving on. Transfers, Benji.
Matters more for podcasting? Absolute watts or watt per kilo?
Absolute watts. You got to have the stamina. It's endurance sport. Podcasting is endurance sport.
Yeah, but at a certain point, the kilos might become too much.
Yes.
Are you calling me fat?
No, I'm just saying we've got to be endurance sport.
Let's talk about transfers.
Transfers, yeah.
This discussion has gone nowhere.
Yeah.
Filippo Concha, whatever you call it. He was a rider that rode for SWAT Club. He rode for Lotto before he went down to SWAT Club. So Lotto was a Walter team, obviously, at the time, I think, where he was when he was riding. And then he went to SWAT Club, which is I would say local team. That's not really true. A club team where we've seen quite a few riders have a resurgence in career. I think Julius Johansson, who's now on UAE, came from that, stepped up from that team towards UAE after doing some gravel for a bit. Same counts for Filippo Conca, and he became Italian champion this year, despite being on a club team. That's the first time I've personally seen a non-pro rider win a national championships. He does have the history of a pro rider, of course, but he's going to Jayco Lula immediately until the end of 2027. So basically a 2.5-year contract. I'll be honest, I don't have too much to add to this. I think he looked solid in those Italian championships. It's kind of the... What is it with Jayco and Italian riders?
I don't really know. But yeah, the rumors of Vendrame and Covey from Benson, I think. So they really like, and even Cohn Bowman they signed, he won 2 Giro stages from the break. And it's all the same rider. Like Bowman, Vendrame, Covey, it's all the same rider.
Next one is going to be Frigo once his IPT contract is out. I'm telling
At
you.
least he's a different style of rider.
Yeah.
I don't really. And they love a German sprinter.
Yeah. Greipel. Ackermann is there right now? I don't even know. I haven't seen him at the front of a race in years.
I just realized Dylan Groenewegen is not German. He is Dutch.
Yeah, but
he is Dutch.
I'm not sure what I was going to say after that, but
I got to be honest, Benji. I mixed up Jayco and Israel Prematech in my head because you said Frigo and you threw me, and then I started to think Ackermann and Greipel.
Yeah, me too. Because then I started saying Greipel and Ackermann as well.
Yeah. You threw me, and then I threw you. But yeah, it's teams have a certain type of rider they like to go for, and they'll always go for, or certain like managers like Trek just love a big unit. They love a big unit, and you know what? Big units can be good. What's UAE's? UAE love a 66 to 67 kilo climber who has big compound score. That's their favorite.
Yeah.
Jay Vine, Mark Soler, Finn Fisher Black,
Kevin Vermarke,
Del Toro, Kevin Vermarke. So to move on to him, you can see how these signings came about. If Covey's leaving, Kevin Vermarke is 24, American. You think UAE 2 years? What's he done this year? When do these signings take place? When do these negotiations take place? They take place many months ago. And so last year, he scored 1,050 UCI points, top 100 PCS ranked rider in the world. But importantly, who attacked Jonathan? Oh, he's not on. Who attacked Mark Hirschi and Jan Christen on the Pilotegi 2.2K 10% climb at the end of San Sebastian?
Kevin Vermarke.
And UAE saw that and were like, that's pretty good.
But also, just to be clear, for the people that don't know, what is compound score? Because you throw the term around, but I assume that some people watching this podcast might not know what you're talking about.
It's the rider's 5-minute absolute watts multiplied by their 5 minutes watts per kilo.
I also think that Kevin Vermarke is a rider that could be there in La Redoute to help lead out a potential Pogacar attack. Because I think he was top 30 in LBL. So, like, he's not going to be on a high amount of money.
No.
He's going to be on low value. Sure, we can talk about UE having a lot of money, but they're not spending on Kevin Vermarke. So, I have no issue with this transfer happening. They've got lots of talent in the team. It's not that they need to sign a big name rider at the moment. They've got all of that in Pogacar alone.
UAE should they should expressly be not signing a big rider with demanding a race program of leadership. Kevin Vermarke is the perfect fit, like you say. He can go to Tour de Hungary, get you your wins, get you your UCI points that they want. He can go to Redoute, do the POG lead out, like you say in theory, Benji. He can do a bit of classics. He can do the 1 week races like Burgos. He's a good fit. There's upside. He's young and he's not expensive.
And no offense to Picnic, who have had solid performance on the likes of Oscar Onley, we'd expect for Market to maybe performance-wise be able to step up after a transfer to UAE as well. So that whole combination. What, sorry?
She didn't.
That is true. Well, that's an interesting situation.
Benji's under NDA.
Let's talk about Adria Perikas.
Well, no, but just to round out the UAE, I think UAE had to spend all their budget on extensions. And Almeida his new contract's coming, it sounds like.
Who else?
Del Toro, they have to give him more money. They break him open. Pog got a new contract this year. I think he's worth a fair bit of money. And
really?
I think so. I think Pogacar's worth 20 mil a year.
Yeah.
But he's
especially
not
with bonuses, etc.
Yeah. But he's not getting paid. They had to probably McNulty. They got the Oliveira extensions maybe coming up. Kristen, Morgado, although they're already on their long-term deals. So yeah, it's Adam Yates they just gave a new contract to.
Rafa Majka is retiring. We did not mention this last week. It's probably good that we mention it now because this man has been a part of UAE for 4 years now, maybe 5 seasons, I think, including this one. Before that, Bora Hansgrohe. Before that, Tinkoff. So it was crazy to me that I fought back throughout the years, and I've seen Rafa Majka throughout his entire career onto you, which is crazy because like I always had in mind that I'm not really a recent cycling fan. I started playing Pro Cycling Manager in 2005, which led me to start watching the sport loyally every single year from 2009, 2010 onwards. And that's basically when Micah's career kickstarted in World Tour. And he was both a super domestique for Alberto Contador and for Tadej Pogacar within the same career, which is a crazy fact about him.
Great career.
The year in 2014, maybe, where he won 2 stages when maybe Michael Rogers was also on the Tinkoff team, and the KOM jersey. That's probably the highlight of Micah's career in my head, personally. He won KOM twice, you're right.
And 3 Tour de France stages, 2 Vuelta stages. Don't think he won a Giro stage. Just a really, really good rider. Won his home race as well, which riders always like to do in Poland. So, yeah, Micah, he's been often the glue guy, keeping it together. In the Giro this year, I mean, Micah, if he rode for himself, could have top 10 the Giro this year. No problem. Yeah. No problem. That's the level he's still at. He's calling it quits under his own steam. It is nice when riders call it, like, he's still at a good level. He's top 10ing. Yeah, when you put him, you just go to a Tour of Austria, he comes third, and he was riding for Del Toro the entire race. So, yeah, really useful, loyal rider at UAE. They'll miss him a little bit. But
he'll become a DS in a couple of years.
I'm not sure. But yeah, Micah, very smart rider. I always like Micah.
Same.
Okay, but yeah, otherwise at UAE, Benji, it's really not a big transfer window. I think they're going to get more soldiers in to fill out the roster, but otherwise they're happy with the talent they have, which, to be honest, as the most winning team probably ever in a few weeks, they can probably be happy with their talent, given that they're all like 25 average age. Other transfers, Alberto Dainese joins Soudal Quickstep on a 2-year contract. I really like it. I really like this transfer. He's won Grand Tour stages multiple times. He has stagnated. He's young. He's like 26, 20. Oh, maybe I made that up.
27, I think.
27. I mean, I like that Quickstep are really going back to their roots, where we're going to resurrect a sprinter's career.
I agree with you on one end. As in, I need to talk about a combination of 2 transfers here. So let's add Dylan van Baarle to the discussion here as well. We did not discuss this transfer last week because it was announced at the same time as our recording session of the podcast. But Dylan van Baarle joined Soudal Quickstep for a 2-year contract as well, together with Dainese, together with Stuyven as well. So that addition to it, Edward Plancard too. So you see they are going to their roots in 2 ways. You've got, on one end, the resurgence of an extra sprinter to the team, which is Alberto Dainese. They have 2 sprinters already, which is Tim Merlier, pretty good one. I would say best sprinter in the world. Second sprinter in the team, Paul Magnier. Dainese is a 3rd one, so it's actually perhaps more than what they had back in the day. Because maybe in the Tom Bonen days, they had Steegmans and Francesco Kiki in the team as well. Then Petacchi joined later on. But during Gaviria Viviani years, it was 2 sprinters every year, no?
No, in 2018, when they won 73 races, they had...
Who did they have?
Viviani.
Yeah.
Fuck me, they had Narvaez. They had Enric too. Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Go look at Quickstep Floor's 2018 team.
Enric podiumed the Vuelta that year, right?
Yeah. Gaviria, Hodge, Jakobsen, Viviani. They had 4.
Okay, they had a couple of sprinters. You're right.
And Bard, Benji, to your point, their lead-out depth, crazy lead-out depth. Sabatini, Richese, Seneschal, Stibar, Terpstra, Lampard when he was better. Even Gilbert could do it just fine. Like, do they have the lead? I mean, they haven't given Merlier a 3-man lead out in 4 years.
It's always Bertrand Lebery, so it's always a one-on-one pilot plus sprinter combination there. So I like the Alberto Dainese transfer. The one thing I do think about is, yes, I see this rider as a rider that could potentially step up. I don't know how much his previous World Tour wins, Grand Tour stage victories will impact the salary though. Because then I am wondering, would you have rather signed Matthias Kopecky or Alberto Dainese for Quick Step?
I would rather sign Kopecky because that, I think he will make, if he makes Merlier his lead outs 5% better, you win 4 more races.
I saw it more as in he can also be in addition to the cobble team next to just being as sprinters. In the same way that Hotch was doing well at both 1.1 races and Polonia sprints back in the day.
Yeah. I think, but they did bring in Plancart and they're hoping he can sort of fill that. But yeah. You can't, if you're going back to your roots, who's the second sprinter?
Manier.
Sturven's a good lead out, a good versatile. Sturven and Manier is a great pairing. But yeah, if they had Plancart and then Lewis Askey instead of Van Baarle, then now you're cooking with gas.
Because the thing with Dylan Van Baarle is Stuyven plus Van Baarle plus Plancart, etc. That's part of the new Back to the Roots cobble team. So they're going back to their roots in 2 ways. Like I said, sprinter and cobbles. With the cobbles, I gave my opinion last week. My opinion on that is I enjoy seeing it from a nostalgic standpoint, but in monuments, I don't see it working because in those races, it doesn't matter if you have 3 riders that could potentially top 10 a classic, which is the case with Stuyven, Van Baarle, and maybe Plancart I'm not necessarily feeling, but there's other riders in the team that could potentially top 10 a classic combined with that. Sure, that's true. But bringing that together, numerical advantage in the last couple of years has not delivered victories over Pogacar and Mathieu van der Poel in those races. So it's more in races like a Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, an Omloop and a Gent-Wevelgem, that something like this could work, especially with Manier. So that combination in those sprint classics, that I think is stronger and could lead to a classics victory. And especially consistency across the board. With Dylan Van Baarle, his salary is not going to be cheap. That's the one thing I definitely don't like there. And positioning has been a massive problem for him in the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's not going to do your big bunch sprint lead-outs. In a Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, if there's a breakaway that needs to be brought back with a gap of 20 seconds so that Merlier or Manier can sprint, he's a good man for that. Yeah. He can close down almost anything. But yeah, I liked Sturven. But yeah, Dainese, it's worth a shot. Like you say, you do have to pay for Grand Tour wins, but also he's had a few lean years where, you know, they can do the quick step reclamation project. I do quite like the move, and they've had success with Italian sprinters. He's young. Alex Kirsch has gone to Cofidis on a 3-year contract. I think he'll be their best classics rider, just about Benji. So he'll get leadership there. It's also, 3 years, probably hard for him to turn down. He's 33. So
yeah, but it's still Cofidis. So while I enjoy Alex Kirsch as a rider, I think this is at the end of these 3 years, his career will be over, and I don't expect him to achieve much as Cofidis.
Yeah, he's best probably when he's paired with the Pedersen. It's a really, really dangerous combination. But
imagine Kirsch at Quickstep.
Yeah, Kirsch at Quickstep, I would have really seen as a good fit. Yep. We did Kevin Vermarker. We should have rounded out UAE. Adria Pericas has been promoted to the UAE World Tour team on a 5-year contract. He was quite a hyped climber in juniors. He was last year very good in Spanish races, second in some climbing races. Wasn't the best junior, because unfortunately for him, he was competing against Paul Seixas, who's maybe one of the best junior climbers.
Texas, yeah.
Yeah, for a long, long time. But he got promoted to the UAE Devo team. They sent him on a round-the-world trip. He did Alula, Murcia, Rwanda, went to Italy, Croatia, Portugal, back to Belgium. Big program. And then he survived all that. And at the Baby Giro, he was maybe the 3rd or 4th best climber, depending on how you look at it. Not so punchy. He reminds me of Torres a little bit, or a lot actually, in that he's really small. And he's more pure climber. Yeah, the TT, the punch won't be the same. The 5 years did surprise me. I don't know why. I don't know why these riders keep signing, or their agents keep agreeing these contracts. It's not rider friendly.
I actually tend to agree. Like, I do think we can't underestimate the feeling of maybe I don't know what the background is of these riders, but I can't imagine that an Isaac Del Toro, for example, who comes from Mexico, stuff like that, ends up coming to World Tour. Adria Pericas, I don't know what his personal history is, but in stepping through the ranks, etc., gets a World Tour contract. When these riders get a World Tour contract in front of them with 5 years and probably more money because their contract is longer, can I assume that if it was a 1-year contract, I think the money would be less because you're not as certain of being there forever?
Well, the total amount will be more. The total amount per year, the money will be less on the 5-year.
Really?
In the
I
end,
would assume it differently because I'd expect the team would have to pay more for a longer time having the rider secured to just them.
No, because the team will be like, I'm giving you look at all this huge pile of cash that you're getting over 5 years.
I think riders are getting scammed in that sense. Jesus.
Yes, because the money's not guaranteed. The money's not guaranteed. If Pericas gets injured next year, and he can't ride anymore, he doesn't get paid out unless he has personal insurance, which is costly, but riders on big contracts should probably look into. He doesn't get paid out the value of that entire 5-year contract.
What does he get paid out then?
Nothing.
Roughly?
He gets three months, and then that they can terminate the contract. It's in the model UCI rider's contract. So the only people that benefit from a long-term deal like that, which is different to when a rider comes in on a Neo-Pro contract, performs, and then gets a contract, then they're going to get paid actually more like their fair value or closer to, because they're actually going to be priced. Pericas is not going to be on $800K a year on the 5-year deal.
Nah.
So if Del Toro might have got lucky that he podiumed the Giro and there's a renegotiation clause. But yeah, what if Pericas is pretty good? Not a superstar, but pretty good, and he's getting paid. And that you don't get the guaranteed money if you get injured. And listen, if he doesn't get injured but he's complete shit, then at least he gets 5 years of under contract. But I see it. There's a reason the team is doing it like this.
What was the case with Andres Camello-Ardilla back in the day? I think he had a 3-year contract at UAE, but it never really came out, did it? Back in 2020, 2021? Because at UAE he then wrote Tour Colombia.
He wrote out that contract.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just saying, I hope for these riders that the managers are very carefully having renegotiation triggers in the contract that isn't just win Tour de France, because Adria Pericas is not winning the Tour de France.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my piece on it, Benji. For UAE, they're like, well, he's going to be in his peak in 2028, 2029, so we want to secure him. We're about to invest in him. It makes sense for the team. And listen, maybe I'm not saying it's not a fair deal. I'm just saying these long contracts, there's a reason the team is doing them. And it's not because it means the rider will earn the most money. And I think it is a misconception that UAE is somehow a frivolous team with their money. Not true. Literally not true. UAE, I think, very carefully thinks about where they're going to allocate their budget. Anyway.
I would be very careful too if I have to explain my financial spendings to a sheikh at the end of the week. So
well, yeah, I think exactly. They're not just throwing money around for fun.
Talking about fun, let's go to our next transfer. Clément Berthet from the Decathlon AG2R goes to the enemy. Oi, oi, oi. To Groupama FDJ on a 3-year contract. He's a good climber, in my personal opinion. We've seen him do well at both 1.1 races, like Tour de Jules Cycliste, which he podiumed, and Grand Besançon 2 days after each other earlier this season. Top 30 at LBL, so in World Tour he can be a solid domestique for other riders. Top 3 at Andalusia, forgot about that, behind Pavel Sivakov, fellow Frenchman, which is still weird to say. But I think he's just a very solid rider, very solid domestique who can also do well in 1.1 climbing races. So I think this is a probably not going to be on million. So I assume this is a good transfer.
Yeah, it's bolstering their climbing depth. Maybe they can hope he can kick on a little bit.
But I wish he stayed at Decathlon to be in support of Paul's success.
I think this says more about Decathlon, doesn't it, Benji, than FDJ. Yeah. For FDJ, it's like, sweet, get a good French climber in. He was good in Besançon-Jura. He can win dot ones. He's just a good climber. He's French. For Decathlon, their climbing is going out the door whilst Paul Seychelles is coming up.
I don't like necessarily bringing this up with other riders, but I do think this could be relevant in this situation. Juliette Labou is the partner of Clément Barfet. She rides for FDJ Suez. FDJ back in the day, those two teams were not connected, but I feel like this year those teams have been more interconnected than in the past. So maybe that could be an internal reasoning for Barfet to want to ride for Groupama FDJ compared to Decathlon. Just a random assumption.
Could be, but also maybe he gets guaranteed more leadership there, which there's plenty of space for. There's plenty of space for him to be a leader at Groupama FDJ. But yeah, for Decathlon, poor old Callum Scotson's got his work cut out next year. He's going to be riding the front for Felix Gall and Paul Seychelles at the same time.
And Felix Gall is out of contract at the end of 2026, so I'm very curious whether he might be eaten up by a super team as a super domestique in the future.
Red Bull Bora.
It's possible.
German speaker. So moving on to Matteo Milan. He also goes to Groupama FDJ on a 3-year contract. He is the younger brother of Johnny Milan. He is he's been on the Little Trek Devo team. Little Trek, though, he's not that much younger.
No, 22, I think.
Yeah. Little Trek have some pretty good sprinters already with Pedersen and Milan and Teutenberg, so there probably just wasn't the space for him there.
Sure, but Matteo Milan, sure, I think he's won Trofeo Porets maybe at the start of this year.
He's actually all right sprinter, yeah.
He's not all right sprinter, but at 22, I think it helps that he's the brother of Jonathan Milan to get this contract, because otherwise I might perhaps rather sign a Liam van Bijlen or something, which is 20 on Lotto and does similar things in sprints.
Yeah, or Manuel Huku, who's French, who's on Airbnb Hotel, was on the track for a while. Yeah. That being said, I mean, Milan was pretty good in Tour de Bretagne. He was like 3 top 4s. But he doesn't look like his brother so far. But his brother also didn't look like his brother when he was 20.
Yeah.
Mainly because Bahrain made him lead out people who were slower than him. Which can happen. Ask Jake Stewart about that. The Alex Segart goes to Bahrain Victorious on a 3-year contract. Bahrain Victorious love a TT specialist who then can't win a TT on their equipment.
But I think there's a family connection there. Loic Segart, his brother, he made the move to Bahrain from Lotto as a cycling coach to Bahrain 1 or 2 years ago, and I think Alec is just following. So that is, I think, a part of the reasoning, and yeah, I assume that's part of the reasoning. I also just think Alex Segart is not just a TT specialist for me either. I do think he can be good in maybe smaller races. I haven't seen it really in Roubaix. I don't expect it. He might have the cobble qualities, but his positioning, like you were just about to say,
really bad. Yeah,
it's awful. So that is something that really needs to be worked on either, or he needs to find a different role. And how does positioning impact his ability to be the 4th last man in a lead out?
He's just not good in the bunch or with other people around him losing positions. Very, very strong rider, massive engine. But it's like what you were saying about Van Baarle, Benji. If you can't sprint or punch, you can't climb, you can't win TTs, and you can't position, then you're just a very strong rider, and you have to improve one of those core tenets. And if he does, if Alex Segart fixes his positioning or improves it, he is the sort of guy who can be doing what Stefan Kung does in classics. I believe that, where he can be in good enough position that when the race opens, it's a group of 15. he can attack after the Bosberg and Omloop and be very hard to bring back. That is what he should be trying to achieve.
Peak, maybe. His potential ceiling, I see that, because otherwise it's maybe a bit of an insult to Stefan Kung if we say he can do that
but
now.
I'm saying that is the type of classics rider he needs to work towards.
I agree. Or Van Barle style, being ahead before it kicks off.
That's probably more realistic. But it is a funny move for Bahrain, but also their classics was not good this year from memory. So they probably need some talent addition there. Lewis Kitsky of Alpecin Deceuninck Conti team or Devo team, he retires from pro cycling. He won the Zwift Academy a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Due to safety concerns, he retires. Unfortunately, he was in both races where there were two deaths. Andre Drej, who passed away at Tour of Austria last year, and Samuele Privitera, who passed away in Valle d'Aosta, which is, it's terrible. I think Kitsky in the first place, not a natural in the bunch. And then when who can blame him? I think if my kid was in those two races and that happened, I'd also probably not want them to continue cycling, frankly. So
I think so
very
too.
sad.
I understand. Yeah. So it's sad to see him end his career over this, but it's also a very understandable situation to do so in the first place. And let's hope our sport can get to the point where riders don't have to be as fearful for their life in races, because that is still the case 100%. And
I also
go ahead.
I liked that he just said, listen, this is not for me. It's not for me. I'm young. I can go and do something else with my life. I'm not going to persevere and ruin my 20s doing something that I just don't enjoy and gives me a lot of stress. And we should take that with us throughout all our life. That don't do things that make you unhappy.
Is that like a first sign of Patrick saying that he doesn't enjoy doing the podcast? Or
no, because I'm here. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, on the note of people that do enjoy doing what they are doing, Eva and Isabella Holmgren, two Canadians, sisters on Little Trek women's team. They are having a 3-year contract extension. They both do mountain bike, CX, and road cycling. I would say that Isabella was a really good climber recently, but I think they're both just very talented.
Yeah, they're good riders. They're improving. Isabella was very, very good in the Basque Country race. She was one of the better climbers. Ava, I think, in Worlds as a neo-pro was already pretty impressive. Yeah, Worlds, she was top 25 as a 19-year-old. So big talents from the mountain bike, and Trek are like, let's lock them up and secure them for another 3 years, because they're just going to keep improving. So
I think they're part of the future core of that team. Yeah. So it's a logical
Van Dijk's
transfer.
retiring.
Exactly.
Dijkman retiring, Van Dijk retiring.
Talking about retiring, that will not happen in the next couple of races, because now we'll talk about race previews, Patrick. Hamburg Cyclassics is coming up. Hamburg Cyclassics is one of my favorite World Tour races of the season, Patrick. I've always been a fan of these German one-day races that I completely forgot that are happening until we do a weekly show about them like today. So I'm trying to load it. It's not loading, so I'm going to have to...
I can tell you the parkour.
Go ahead, thank you. It's same as always?
Pardon?
Same as always?
No.
Ooh.
No, Benji. Incorrect. It's 207 Ks, and they added an additional repetition, I think, of the Vasaberg, which is the main climb of the race, 700 meters, 9%. The last time they go up it is with 17 Ks to go. I think, they added an additional rep. Last year they did it 4 times. No, last year they did it 3 times. This year they do it 4 times, 5 times even.
Yeah.
So,
they just copied the whole hill zone twice compared to last year.
Yeah. So they made it a little bit harder. UAE have changed their team accordingly. So UAE bring the Hill Hit squad. They do bring Milano as a backup sprinter, but they got Del Toro, Narvaez, Kristen, McNulty, Covey. I think you can tell which way they're going to want this race to go, and I think that's going to dictate this race a lot. And if you see if UAE, they dictate how these one-day hill classics go, and that's opening the race, making it hard, and it's not going to be a big boy bunch sprint if they race like that.
I don't think so either. The start list is not confirmed, but I do expect a Lotto to be there with the Lee Visma Lisa bike. I think despite the parkour changes to be there with a sprinting option instead of just focusing on the all-out attack options. On the temporary start list is Christophe Laporte. Do we have any knowledge on whether he comes back at any point this season?
Yeah, he should race this year.
Do we know if it's going to be at this race, or is that not known?
It's not confirmed yet.
Okay. I look forward to seeing him race as soon as possible, because I have actually missed Laporte in this sport for the last year.
Vision's missed Laporte. In the classics.
So Paul Magnier is, I think, an interesting name for this race as well, even if it gets a little bit more hilly, even though I would say that Magnier has maybe been a little bit less versatile this year than I had assumed. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I kind of had him in can survive a 5K 7% climb easily camp. That's not the case. I think the short hills is fine for him though. I think a short punchy hill is okay. But yeah, like in Poland, there was, the stage Brennan won, it was hard, but it wasn't that hard. And he really was like not in the picture. So Caden Groves is the opposite of that. Groves is here for Alpecin, Binny here for Wanty. Both of those two are good options. For Trek, they're going with Milan. I'm kind of bearish on Milan, actually.
Yeah.
If they make the Lund Andresen, good option for Picnic on this sort of parkour, actually. Israel Premier Tech going for Ackerman. You'd want to probably see a Jake Stewart or there.
I am going to Matthew Brennan is not on the provisional start list. Because he's said to be going to the Deutschland Tour according to PCS.
It's in the same country.
He's in Germany anyway. Send him to the fucking race. Like,
what are we doing?
Like, if Olaf Kooi doesn't survive the hills, then Brennan might survive a bit longer. Then again, in Poloni, who was maybe a bit less versatile than I expected, but he still delivered a great victory. On a
700-meter hill.
So my pick for the race is Matthew Brennan. We'll see if he arrives or not.
He's not racing.
I'm still picking him, damn
it. Someone else, maybe.
I'm standing on my point that Visma should send him.
Alexander Kristoff there, but yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a small group. I think young Kristen's going to do something very funny, and I think someone is going to win a small group sprint, and Kristen will come second.
So you think it's going to be really selective then, right?
Bro, look at UAE's team.
Yeah, but it's a provisional team, Patrick.
Is it? I'm not sure it is.
I don't know if it is.
Where's the ghost of Mark Hirschi? Get him in. Trentin.
Well, he is there for Tudor.
Yeah. Isn't this the race where Haller beat Van Aert in a small group?
Was that this or was this Bemerside Classics?
I get those two mixed up. I
don't know.
Okay, that's Hamburg. Tour Romandie Femenin, a 3-day stage race. Very, very difficult race. They have a mountain TT to start. They do a Villars-sur-Orlan, the climb we just cannot escape. 4.4 Ks, straight uphill. They do like 269 meters, so I need to mass. It's like 6.5%. So mountain TT, that'll take them, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes. Then stage two is mostly flat, 109 Ks, couple of short hills. And then they go up the Zumaz climb, 13 Ks, 8%, very, very hard. Stage 3 is around Aigle, where it is a hill course from, they go do the La Châtelle climb. There's also, the last two climbs are 2Ks 9%, 1.2K 9% before a flat finish, or descent and flat finish. It's for Patrick. Climbers. We don't have Vollering here. We have...
On that note...
Yeah, weird.
But before you mention any riders that are here, I have to explain here something. I feel like we've been able to increase our Slovakian media interest over the last couple of months, because you keep talking about this Visma Lease bike rider who's named Viktoria Schladnova, and you mentioned the storm is coming, etc. in the coming years, and that's why Pauline Ferrand-Prevot needs to be worried about her position as leader of the team for the coming years. Correct. And every time you say something cool about Victoria, Slovakian media picks up on it. So it's about time. You've got 30 seconds now to give us the most extreme version of your hype towards Tour Romandie Feminin for Victoria here. Come on.
Listen, Demi Vollering saw that Kladnova did an altitude camp before this, and she took her name off the start list. That's very clear that that's what's happened. So, yeah. I think Niamh Fisher-Black's the heavy favorite for this race. I think it's a simple parcours. It's a mountain TT and then a basic mountain finish, and then she's got to defend. And she got a strong team to defend with Spratt, Henderson, Marcus. So I think Fisher-Black's the favorite. And
what's been happening with Realini this year? Because on paper she's in the team, but this year it really hasn't been it for her.
No, only 20 race days, and like a lot of them are not suitable. You know, Balwaza Ladies Tour recently, for example, I think they just needed to get her back into racing. We have Nuvia Doma here, who's just came off third in the Tour de France with a strong team. Bauernfeind, Niedermeyer as well, so that's very strong. Moolman and Zigart probably leading for Age Insurance, and no Serra Gigante, even though this race she would probably win, to be honest. Who else is we got Marta Cavalli. I saw on Instagram she was getting the Freccia Rossa to Geneva, so I dare say she is racing. Cool to see her racing.
What is the Freccia Rossa? A train?
Yeah, a train. High-speed train in Italy. Best trains. They're goated trains. And, but yeah, no Van der Breggen, no Vollering, no Reusser. We do have Lebu and Muzic, so yeah, they'll go for it. Czech Tour started today. We have a hilly course to start, which could be probably a sprint, an uphill finish tomorrow, which I think Glog won last year ahead of Hirsch and Alaphilippe. Then another sprint stage, and then another uphill finish. Maybe that's the one Glog won. Alaphilippe or Hirsch won GC last year, I think. He won like 5 races in a row.
So how are we seeing this? I'm looking at the start list, and I see Kian Uiterbroeks versus maybe Junior Leserre versus...
Oh, did they bring Leserre?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because when I saw the Quick Step Provisional, it had no climber. I was like, weird.
Maybe an Adrien Boissy top 10 position. I see it, but then again, the Red Bull rookies are there. Tuckwell's also. That Red Bull rookies team has Anton Palter in there as well.
I think Tuckwell should be favorite for a podium here.
He was super strong at the Giro Next Gen, but afterwards it kind of went wrong, no?
Yeah, he didn't stay. He maybe got sick or something at Valadosta. I don't know what happened there. But United Shipping have got Feldhofer. He'll be their GC leader. They got Stolic, the Serbian, who apparently is going to the Bahrain Devo team next year. He's going to be their sprinter for today, which is going to finish shortly. We got Matteo Fabro as a climber. One of these Equipo Can Farmer lads will be able to climb, I guess. Zerai for Team Yukio.
Top 10 for him.
Pardon?
Top 10 for Zerai. He won on Mount Fuji in Tour of Japan.
Yeah. But yeah, to be honest, this is Uiterbroeks' race to lose after what he showed on Colombier. Yes, it's not the hardest finishes, but this is a very soft start list. And
if he loses the uphill finish, he should retire. That's a joke.
The first one's not so hard. The second one, he should win the second uphill finish, yeah.
I'm also joking, to be clear. Please don't retire if you lose a race. He only just won.
That's pretty good.
He is, but Kian Uiterbroeks should beat him.
Yeah. And for the sprints, yeah, as I said, we got Lamperti. He should be the heavy favorite for today. My pick for today in the sprints is Davide Donati. I think he's really good sprinter on the rookies. So they're the previews.
How's
Any other
Lamperti doing
previews?
these days?
Pardon?
How's Lamperti doing these days? And potentially for next year as well, because his contract is out for Soudal Quickstep. I've seen no indication of him necessarily staying around.
Yeah, the rumor is he's going to EF.
Okay.
Benson said. He's just not kicked off the same way Manier has.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, something happened, Benji, because he's only on 38 race days, including the Giro, and he started his season in the end of March. I don't know what happened.
Me neither. I would have expected a little bit more there, but hopefully it's nothing health related. Maybe it's just a bit meh form this year.
Yeah, he won a stage here last year. He won the third stage he won. So he's had success in Czech Tour before. I think that's all the race previews we have to do. We'll obviously have the Vuelta preview next week. We have, of course, Circuit Franco-Belge, but that's like a punchy uphill finish. It is, we've got Hirschi there, Groves. Where did Groves come last year? But no Binny. Binny won last year ahead of Axel Zangle. Who do I like for this? You're the expert, Benji.
Sorry, which race are we talking about?
Circuit Franco-Belge.
Ooh. Was this the race that was back in the day called Euro Metropole Tour? I could be wrong. No, it's a completely different parkour these days.
Yeah, I think we had this debate once before.
I think so too. Then we started talking about a Primus Classic, which was unrelated. Yeah. But can I be honest? When I look at the parkour, I just see a better version of the Volta Limburg. Just saying. Just saying.
But actually, it's not, because normally it's just an uphill sprint, whereas Limburg is a goated race.
If Caden Groves is here, he should be pretty good at this parkour, but I'm looking at the parkour. It could be quite versatile, quite selective as well, to be honest, because there's so many hills in this parkour. What happened last year in this race?
It's the sort of race that Aaron Broe should win and never does.
You're overrating Alexander Buru, my friend. Come on. Don't be such a fanboy. I'm not accepting this fanboyism anymore.
I'm going to go with... No, I'm not going to go with him. I'm going with... My serious pick is Corbin Strong. He should be the favorite. Especially
after Arctic race to Norway.
Yeah.
My pick is... If Groves goes here for Alpecin the Koning, then he should be really competitive for the win.
Oh, he only came 10th last year.
So I'm going to go for Arnaud de Lee.
Is De Lee here?
Yeah.
Poor, he should... Yeah, De Lee should be good.
Yeah.
So that's one to watch. We'll watch that tomorrow afternoon. It's nice to watch those sort of races. We also have Renewy Tour starting, but we'll probably cover that in another weekly show. But I hope you enjoyed the update. We've got a lot of smaller races coming up. Got the Vuelta soon, people preparing, transfers being announced. It's been a busy period. And thanks to Join Cycling as always. We'll see you with the Vuelta next week. Ciao, ciao.